27-year-old Jacob Jamal Woods is behind bars after he assaulted his girlfriend. During the early morning hours of Sunday the 7th of April, the pair were travelling to Jacob's home in Baton Rouge, Louisiana from New Orleans. While his partner was driving, Jacob went through the woman's phone and became enraged when he found incriminating text messages on her phone that led him to believe that she was cheating on him. Upset, he slapped the woman and ordered her to continue driving to his house. Once they arrived, Jacob took the woman's car keys and phone and prevented her from leaving the premises. The victim told police that Jacob choked her until she became unconscious and that he used a blowtorch to sexually assault her. He also put the lit blowtorch into her mouth, burning her face. She said that Jacob forced her head into an unflushed toilet and tried to yank out her teeth with pliers. He then ran a butcher's knife along her skin and threatened to kill her. Authorities said that the woman managed to call 911 and Jacob fled his residence. She was taken to a local hospital for treatment, and a warrant for Jacob's arrest was issued. On Friday the 12th of April, authorities located Jacob roughly 250 miles away in Shreveport and took him into custody. He was booked into the Shreveport City Jail as a fugitive, and on Tuesday the 16th of April, he was extradited back to Baton Rouge where he's held without bond. Jacob's charged with false imprisonment, third-degree rape, second-degree sexual battery, second-degree battery, battery of a dating partner, aggravated assault, and aggravated battery. Authorities said that this is Jacob's second arrest for domestic violence in the last 6 months. He's accused of assaulting a different woman at his home in November of 2023. He was arrested in December and was out on a $15,000 bond for that arrest. The investigation into the matter continues. A 26-year-old man is behind bars after recklessly driving and crashing his vehicle after being upset the Burger King overcharged him. At just before 8 p.m. on Friday the 12th of April, authorities responded to 499 University Boulevard in Bowling Green, Kentucky in reference to a hit-and-run collision. Several witnesses at the scene told police that they saw a man exit a 2000 silver Nissan Xterra after crossing all 4 lanes and onto oncoming traffic, nearly striking several vehicles, running over a curb, striking a pole, and causing the vehicle to catch fire. The man was later identified as 26-year-old Wade Tate. Wade fled on foot towards Nashville Road, and police gave Wade several commands to stop before they tased him. He continued resisting arrest before police were able to detain him. Witnesses at the scene told police that Wade nearly struck their vehicles from the rear along University Drive. Wade then passed them, causing them to nearly run off the road. He also got in front of the vehicles and slammed on his brakes. Police noted Wade was also driving in the wrong direction on University Drive, near Russellville Road. Witnesses on a nearby sidewalk saw Wade get out of his vehicle before urinating in the area. He later told police that he did that to put the fire out. Police said that Wade gave them a blank stare when they first made contact with him. He appeared to be intoxicated and called an officer his mother several times. He continued to ramble and not make any sense. Wade then told police he had a bipolar disorder and was not taking his medications. When authorities questioned Wade while he was driving all over the roadway, he told them that he was angry that Burger King charged him for someone else's order. Wade was transported to the medical center at Bowling Green for medical clearance and blood draws, and later taken to the Warren County Detention Center. Wade was charged with operating a motor vehicle under the influence, first-degree criminal mischief, 3 counts of first-degree wanton endangerment, leaving the scene of an accident, resisting arrest, and second-degree fleeing or evading police. Wade remains held at the Warren County Jail with a $5,000 cash bond. The investigation into the matter continues. 29-year-old Lakeisha Williams is behind bars for leaving her 8-year-old son and 6-year-old daughter alone in a trash-filled apartment for almost a week while she went on vacation. On the 4th of April, Lakeisha left a high-rise apartment at 9757 Katy Freeway in Houston, Texas, to go on a cruise to Puerto Rico and returned on the evening of the 10th of April. Authorities said that they responded to Lakeisha's apartment on the 9th of April for a welfare check after a neighbor said they saw Lakeisha leave the apartment with her luggage, but without her children. After she realized that Lakeisha had not returned, she called 911. When officers arrived at the residence, they found 2 siblings alone and in filthy squalor. Police noted the apartment had a distinct stench of urine. Officers found garbage consisting of partially leftover food scraps that the children attempted to prepare for themselves, littering the home. Authorities said that in total, the kids spent about 5 days alone in the apartment. The children told investigators that the mother had left on a cruise and would be returning, but were unable to provide a date that she was coming back. Officers found web cameras set up around the apartment that the mother used to check in on the kids. She also left behind a cell phone to communicate with her 8-year-old son. After paramedics on scene deemed the children to be in good physical health, Child Protective Services handed them over to their aunt's custody. Authorities said that when they first made contact with Lakeisha, she was uncooperative and kept changing her story as to where she was. She later told investigators that she paid a cousin to look after her children, but he took off with the money and left the children behind. Lakeisha was arrested at her apartment on Thursday the 11th of April and charged with abandonment with intent to return. She was booked into the Harris County Detention Center with a bond set at $25,000. On Monday the 15th of April, Lakeisha appeared in court where a judge reviewed a bond and kept it at $25,000, calling the circumstances egregious. A protective order was issued that prevents her from communicating with or being near her daughter and son. The investigation into the matter continues. 27-year-old Brianna Lee Schroeder is behind bars for stabbing a 63-year-old man while he slept. And just after 1 p.m. on Sunday the 14th of April, authorities responded to an apartment at 16 North Main Street in Aurora, Minnesota on reports of an assault. When officers arrived, they found a man whose name remains anonymous, laying on the kitchen floor screaming and holding a bloody towel over a 1-inch stab wound to his abdomen. Medics arrived at the residence and treated the victim, before airlifting him to Duluth Hospital where he's recovering. Police at the scene identified Brianna as a suspect, indicating that she fled out the back door before police arrived. After spending several hours searching for Brianna, K9 units tracked her down coming out of the woods at 4:42 p.m. She was reportedly naked, had superficial scratches across her body, and her lips appeared blue from the exposure to the cold weather. Brianna was taken to the Northern Pines Medical Center before being booked into the St. Louis County Jail. In a statement given after Miranda warning, Brianna allegedly admitted to stabbing the man who she called the devil. Police later found another witness who reported he had been in the living room with Brianna and 2 others while the victim slept in his bedroom. He said Brianna had a knife and was making concerning statements, prompting the witnesses to begin planning to take the weapon away. However, before they could do so, Brianna went into the bedroom and the victim was heard yelling. The witness said he went in and found the suspect holding the knife. He told her to leave, which she did. Police have not released a motive in the attack or the relationship between the suspect and the victim. Brianna is charged with first-degree assault and remains at the St. Louis County Jail on a $300,000 bond. The investigation into the matter continues. 48-year-old Aletha Quavers, who worked as an assistant principal at Walter G. Byers School in Charlotte, North Carolina, was arrested on Thursday the 11th of April for abusing her son. Aletha was allegedly heard threatening to kill her child while on the phone with the boy's father. When the father came to pick up the child, he said she grabbed the child's neck, causing a visible red mark. A child who also had scratches on his arms said that Aletha was angry because he lost his phone at school. Jail records show that in addition to the misdemeanor child abuse charge, Aletha was charged with communicating threats. She was given a $1,500 bond and was released from jail later that night. Officials at the school said they were aware of Aletha's arrest, and as a result a shift in leadership will take place. 26-year-old Reginald Cook is behind bars after attempting to rob a convenience store with a snake. At around 2 a.m. on Monday the 15th of April, Reginald entered the Shell gas station at 3599 Elvis Presley Boulevard in Memphis, Tennessee, and implied he had a weapon but left. At around 2:30 a.m., Reginald entered the store again and demanded money from the register. The victim said that Reginald kept reaching into his clothing as if he had a gun, but left the store after the cashier refused. At around 3:05 a.m., Reginald entered the store for the 3rd time, but with a 5-foot snake wrapped around his neck. Reginald then went up to the counter shouting, "Give me the damn money." The victim saw Reginald reach inside his backpack, implying that he was armed with a weapon. The victim then pulled out his gun in self-defense and called 911. Minutes later, police arrived and took Reginald into custody. No money was taken and no one was injured. Authorities found a railroad spike and a rock inside Reginald's backpack, and they also took possession of the snake. Reginald's charged with 2 counts of attempted aggravated robbery and is held at the Shelby County Jail on a $4,000 bond. The investigation into the matter continues. A 42-year-old man is behind bars for strangling his girlfriend after she broke up with him. At around 2:30 p.m. on Sunday the 14th of April, authorities responded to a home in the 32,000 block of Ebony Road in Los Fresno, Texas after a neighbor heard a woman shouting for help. Deputies made contact with a 53-year-old victim at the scene who showed visible signs of assault. The victim told investigators that she broke up with 42-year-old Rolando Juarez after they'd been together for 4 years. Rolando became upset and allegedly hit the woman in the face while they were driving to his home. The victim told deputies that once they got to his house, Rolando strangled her. Rolando tried to retrieve the woman's cell phone from her back pocket and ended up pushing her to the ground as a result. She said Rolando pushed her head into the ground, which injured her forehead. The victim requested to file criminal charges. Rolando was arrested and charged with assault impeding breath and circulation. He remains held at the Cameron County Jail on a $20,000 bond. The investigation into the matter continues. 3 people are behind bars in connection to the death of a newborn boy last year. He was a product of incest. At around 7:30 p.m. on the 1st of March 2023, Harrison Memorial Hospital's emergency room in Cynthiana, Kentucky, called Pendleton County dispatchers about conducting a welfare check at her home, where they believed a baby boy was in distress. The newborn's mother, 28-year-old Kimberly Shepard, had come to the hospital claiming she had suffered a miscarriage. Hospital staff contacted authorities as they believed the infant had been left behind. Officers responded to a vacant home at 509 Montjoy Street in Falmouth, Kentucky, and found a 6-pound baby unresponsive and not breathing with the placenta still attached, lying on a mattress and wrapped in a blanket. The baby boy was rushed to the hospital, but was pronounced dead on arrival. A DNA test which was completed after 9 months confirmed that Kimberly's uncle, 62-year-old Alan Newkirk, fathered her late son. Authorities said that Kimberly admitted that her uncle impregnated her and she hid the pregnancy. After giving birth, her grandfather, 82-year-old Billy Shepard, took her to the hospital. She told her grandfather she miscarried and the baby was dead. Authorities said that Billy did not check on the baby or contact anyone. Authorities said that the baby's cause of death was unable to be determined. On the 10th of April 2024, authorities arrested the trio. Ellen's charged with incest and remains jailed at the Pendleton County Jail on a $20,000 bond. Billy's charged with abuse of a corpse and is free on a $5,000 bond. Kimberly's charged with incest, abuse of a corpse and concealing a birth. She's free on a $20,000 bond. The investigation into the matter continues. A 32-year-old man is behind bars after he cut off another man's toes with a machete. On the night of Wednesday the 3rd of April, authorities responded to an apartment along Glens Bay Road in Surfside Beach, South Carolina on reports of a stabbing. When officers arrived, they found the victim on the ground at his front door, where he had crawled to open it. The victim told police that he and Matthew Hellman had previously been feuding, and Matthew went to his apartment that night. The two got into a disagreement, where Matthew pinned him to the ground and started attacking him with a machete. The victim said he was on the ground with his leg and arms up in a defensive position, but Matthew swung the machete at him, cutting off 2 of his toes on his left foot. Matthew then went into the kitchen and started throwing plates and bowls at him before leaving the premises. The victim was transported to a nearby hospital for treatment. On Tuesday the 16th of April, Matthew was arrested and charged with assault and battery of a high and aggravated nature, and 3 counts of possession of firearms and ammunition. He's out of the J. Reuben Long Detention Center without bond. Matthew has previous arrests, including in May of 2023 for unlawful possession, purchase or use of body armor by a person convicted of a violent crime, 3 counts of possession of firearms and ammunition, and a drug charge. In 2014, Matthew pleaded guilty to armed robbery and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. The investigation into the matter continues. A 38-year-old man is behind bars for fatally shooting his girlfriend. At 5:52 a.m. on Sunday the 14th of April, authorities responded to a residence at 150 Levi Road in Roland, North Carolina on reports of an individual shot. When deputies arrived, They entered the premises and found 36-year-old Lydia Ann Hoyers deceased inside her home with gunshot wounds. Upon further investigation, detectives identified 38-year-old Scotty Dwayne Tyler as the shooting suspect. On Tuesday the 16th of April, the truck connected to Scotty and the murder was found in a wooded area near Old Baker Road and US Highway 74 alternate. On Wednesday the 17th of April, Scotty was apprehended during a traffic stop by the Robeson County Sheriff's Office on Martin Luther King Jr. Drive in Lumberton. Scotty was charged with first-degree murder and 9 counts of discharging a weapon into an occupied dwelling and was booked into the Robeson County Jail. Authorities said that Scotty and Lydia were in a relationship and had 2 children together. The motive of the killing is unclear, as the investigation into the matter continues. A 28-year-old woman is behind bars after she told her 8-year-old son to drive a car while she passed out in the back seat. At around 4 a.m. on Monday the 15th of April, police were in the area of 4th and Walnut Streets in St. Louis, Missouri, when they noticed a car going west in the eastbound lanes. After pulling the vehicle over, officers were surprised to find a young boy at the wheel and his mother LaTonya Mays Gale passed out in the back seat. She was allegedly driving, but told the boy to take the wheel so she could get comfortable in the back. A 3-year-old boy was also in the car in the back seat unrestrained. Officers arrested LaTonya and booked her into the City Justice Center on 2 counts of first-degree child endangerment, and the children were placed into the care of their father. During a bond hearing on the afternoon of the 16th of April, LaTonya's attorney Stephen Kratky mentioned that besides taking care of her 2 children, she works as a home health aide and provides care for an elderly homebound grandparent. He argued that while the state alleged substance abuse as a factor in the incident, he believed the underlying issues revolved more around mental health and stress. Judge Heather Hayes allowed LaTonya to be released on bond under the condition of house arrest, prohibiting her from leaving her home, possessing firearms and drugs, driving or having contact with her kids. The investigation into the matter continues. A 20-year-old woman is behind bars for repeatedly torturing her infant son. Authorities said that the abuse occurred on Monday the 15th of April at a residence in the 1200 block of Orange Street in the Old North St. Louis neighborhood of St. Louis, Missouri. Emma Rigdon was with her son when she pinched and slapped the child's leg and placed her hand over the boy's mouth and nose, preventing the child from breathing. She recorded the incident on video and sent it to a friend. A few minutes later, Emma made another video showing her covering the infant's face with a blanket on her hand, causing the child to cry and grab at the blanket. After sending the second video to a friend, Emma sent text messages stating, "I don't know when I do that. I feel happy like an adrenaline rush. I'll be stopping right before he dies. Last time he was blue, and I really want to kill him but I don't want to go to jail, so it's unfortunate. He's just going to have to pay for his existence," she said. On the 16th of April, Emma was arrested and charged with 2 counts of abuse or neglect of a child and is held at the St. Louis City Justice Center. Emma appeared in court later that afternoon and was denied bond. Emma's lawyer revealed in court that his client's borderline personality disorder has been exacerbated by postpartum depression. Emma's son is under 6 months old and there's an active restraining order against the victim's father, meaning the child will likely be placed in state custody. The investigation into the matter continues. A 47-year-old man is behind bars for killing his 38-year-old girlfriend in a domestic-related shooting. At around 11:35 p.m. on Wednesday the 17th of April, authorities responded to an over Mount Vernon Hospital in Alexandria, Virginia on reports of a woman shot. The victim, identified as 38-year-old Ellison Laporta, was brought to the hospital by boyfriend 47-year-old Huey Tien Wen. Ellison was suffering from a gunshot wound to her upper body and died at the hospital. Huey initially told officers that the shooting happened in the parking lot. Through their investigation, detectives disproved that allegation and determined that Huey shot Ellison inside a red Jeep and then drove her to the hospital. The Jeep has been towed away as evidence, and police also recovered a gun believed to be used in the murder near Huey's home in Lawton. Huey was arrested and charged with murder and use of a firearm. He was booked into the Fairfax County Adult Detention Center, where he remains held without bond. The investigation into the matter continues. 49-year-old Julianne Miller is behind bars in connection to the death of a 14-year-old daughter, Kennedy Mill, who is believed to have starved to death. On the morning of Wednesday, the 17th of April, authorities responded to a home along Cameo Road in Morrisville, West Virginia, after someone at the residence called 911 to report a teen in cardiac arrest. When first responders arrived, they found Kennedy dead and laying on a foam pad on the bathroom floor of the home. Authorities said that the girl's physical appearance was shocking, with an obvious emaciated skeletal state. Life-saving measures were attempted, but she was unable to be revived. The Boone County Sheriff's Office said investigators believe the victim had an undiagnosed eating disorder and had not received any medical treatment in the last 4 years. Kennedy lived in the house with her mother Julie and her grandmother and grandfather. The child's grandmother told detectives that Kennedy had not been able to function on her own for the last 4 to 5 days due to her physical state and had not been eating properly for months. The grandmother also said the teen had not been to school since late 2019 or early 2020, nor had she left the house much in the last 4 years. The sheriff's office said they believe the victim was being homeschooled. That same day, officials arrested Julie on a charge of child neglect resulting in death. Julie remains held at the West Virginia Regional Jail on a $250,000 bond. Authorities said that Kennedy's body was sent to the medical examiner's office for an autopsy, and additional charges are possible. The investigation into the matter continues. A 22-year-old man is behind bars after he dragged a woman into the woods at gunpoint. At around 8:30 p.m. on Monday the 15th of April, authorities received a call about a woman who had been assaulted and was being pulled into the nearby woods in the Moody Road area in Lee County, North Carolina. Deputies arrived on scene and found the woman and the suspect in the woods near 584 Moody Road. 22-year-old Michael Gerard Joseph Lawson was arrested and charged with first-degree kidnapping, assault by strangulation, assault by pointing a gun, and assault on a female. Michael has been held at the Lee County Jail with no bond. The investigation into the matter continues. A preschool teacher has been arrested after making threats against another teacher and the school following an argument. At around 11 a.m. on Thursday the 18th of April, police were dispatched to the Academy of McCrory Lane on Newsom Station Road in Nashville, Tennessee. Authorities said they received a call about a teacher at the preschool, later identified as 29-year-old Shanika Cowart, who was threatening to pull a firearm on another teacher and students. When officers arrived at the school, they were met by an employee in the parking lot who confirmed the school was on lockdown, and Shanika was still in the classroom with another teacher and children. Using a surveillance camera, Metro Police reported officers were able to see inside the room, where they noticed Shanika had no visible weapons and was moving the children into a closet. School staff members confirmed this is consistent with their procedures. As other officers arrived, they moved down the hallway and could see inside the classroom. Shanika reportedly stepped out of the closet, following orders to come to the hallway, and was taken into custody without incident. Shanika told officers that she didn't have a firearm on her, but she said she had one in the driver's side door of her car, which was in the parking lot next to the building. Authorities interviewed employees who reported hearing Shanika making threatening statements about the school. The victim stated that she heard Shanika say that she was going to shoot up the school and that she keeps a gun on her. Another teacher corroborated hearing that threat. Another teacher stated she overheard Shanika saying things like, "When I start shooting, you better run." Shanika said she told her teacher she was going to shoot them in the kneecaps because it would not kill them. However, Shanika said she made that threat on the 10th of April, adding that she didn't make any threatening statements on Thursday the 18th of April, and that she knew she wouldn't leave her classroom to retrieve a gun. Officers said they found a loaded handgun hidden inside Shanika's small purse, which was on a hook in the classroom where she was found, and a second firearm in the driver's side door of her vehicle. Shanika was charged with assault, threat of mass violence at her school, and 2 counts of carrying a weapon onto school property. She was held at the Davison County Jail before being released on a $37,000 bond later that night. No additional information was immediately released. The investigation into the matter continues. 15-year-old Darren Fleming is behind bars after fatally shooting his 31-year-old cousin Barrington Moore. The shooting occurred on the night of Thursday the 18th of April at a short-term rental property along the 900 block of Youngs Lane in North Nashville, Tennessee. The preliminary investigation shows Darren, who is on juvenile court probation, was at another teen's birthday party when his mother called him and told him to be home by 8 p.m, which was required by the terms of his probation. Shortly after 9 p.m, his cousin Barrington arrived at the party to take Darren home. Barrington found Darren hiding in a closet and a fight ensued. During the fight, the teenager pulled out a gun. Darren reportedly admitted to firing the pistol during the fight. Barrington was shot several times in the torso and was taken to the TriStar Skyline Medical Centre, where he later died. Darren was booked into a juvenile detention centre and is charged with criminal homicide. The investigation into the matter continues. 23-year-old Jason Craig Dyer Mitchell was behind bars for fatally shooting 2 gas station workers and injuring another man. At around 12:30 a.m. on Saturday the 13th of April, authorities responded to a Chevron gas station at 1701 Northwest 54th Street in Miami, Florida, and found 3 victims shot. Investigators said there was an argument that took place inside the gas station when the suspect pulled out a gun and shot 3 people before running from the scene. The deceased victims were identified as 51-year-old Shahbaz Hussain and 42-year-old Shamoon Shakart. Medics rushed the 3rd victim, 57-year-old Elijah Shorter, to Jackson Memorial Hospital in a critical condition. Witnesses said they saw Jason inside the store when Shamoon confronted him for shoplifting. At this moment, the two began to argue while Shahbaz and Elijah were near them. As the dispute escalated, Jason pulled out a gun and shot all 3 men before fleeing the gas station. A man identified as Lorenzo, who works security at the gas station, said that Shahbaz and Shamoon were affectionately known by customers as Sonny and Moon, who were the owners of the business. Lorenzo said he overslept, and by the time he arrived at the gas station, police had cordoned the area off with crime scene tape. I don't know what the argument was about, but heard that the gunman shot one of the owners 2 times, and then shot him in the back after he turned around, and then he shot the other guy 3 times. One of the customers of Chevron, named Ronnie, said, "What's this world coming to? These guys, haven't seen them do nothing but help people. I mean, people come in who don't have money. Shahbaz and Shamoon help people, feed them, give them coffee. They give me free coffee every day. There ain't too many nice people in the world today, but these guys are really nice, and they didn't deserve it," Ronnie said. Later that morning, investigators reviewed surveillance footage and recognised the suspect's hoodie as belonging to a local gym, and then interviewed gym employees to confirm Jason was a suspect. They confirmed that his listed address was the apartment building across the road from the Chevron. At around 5:30 p.m, a SWAT team arrived at Jason's apartment. They found the gun believed to be used in the fatal shooting in a fanny pack and took him into custody, and he refused to talk to detectives. He's charged with 2 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder, and is held at the Turner Guilford Correctional Centre. He appeared in bond court on Monday the 15th of April, where Judge Mindy Glazer ordered Jason to be held without bond. Jason has a criminal history. On the 3rd of January 2022, Miami Beach police arrested Jason in South Beach after accusing him of placing a nail between his knuckles and punching a man in the face outside a hostel. Witnesses told officers that Jason was drinking straight over a bottle of vodka, and officers found ecstasy and marijuana in his backpack. He was charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, possession of a controlled substance, and an alcohol-related charge, but prosecutors dropped marijuana possession charges. Instead of going to jail, he was sentenced to 2 years probation in that case. The investigation into the matter continues. A woman will spend decades behind bars after she was convicted of lighting her 8-year-old son on fire in May of 2020. On Friday the 12th of April 2024, 31-year-old Kimberly Tyler was sentenced to 30 years in prison and suspended all but 25 years to serve and 5 years of supervised probation upon release. On the 7th of December 2023, Kimberly was convicted by a jury on multiple charges, including first-degree child abuse and conspiracy to commit neglect of a minor following a 4-day trial. The incident occurred inside their apartment kitchen in the 12,000 block of Falling Water Circle in Germantown, Maryland in May of 2020. Kimberly got upset with her son for eating cereal and making a mess, so as punishment she took the boy into the kitchen, poured rubbing alcohol onto his hand and lit it on fire. The fire spread out of control, eventually engulfing the boy from his torso to his head. Kimberly's wife and co-defendant Therese Norgrass Tyler and her younger sister were present, as well as the couple's 5 other children. The 5 other children, all younger than the boy, were in their bedroom when the fire was ignited. Kimberly and Therese threw the victim in the shower after he caught on fire. The boy suffered 3rd-degree burns on both sides of his upper arms, chest and neck, and 1st and 2nd-degree burns to his face and other areas of his upper body. In total, 25% of his body surface was burned. Kimberly also sustained injuries from the flames. Rather than take her child to the hospital, Kimberly called her parents Timble Tyler and Lisa Jones, who also became co-defendants for their role in the abuse. "You can't hide this," Kimball told Kimberly in fear that she'll try to cover the crime. Kimberly and her father went to the store to buy bandages and burn cream, and went back to the apartment where Kimball wrapped the 8-year-old up in gauze. The boy was then sent to live with his grandparents in Howard County, Maryland, where he stayed for about 2 weeks with no medical attention. Officials said that Kimberly only visited the boy one time in person during those 2 weeks, and often had people over at her apartment smoking and drinking. When asked about the 8-year-old, she told people that he was visiting his grandparents. Kimball video called Kimberly constantly to show the heavily bandaged young boy in debilitating pain, grimacing as he struggled to stand up on his own. He urged Kimberly to call for medical treatment, but she ignored these requests and continued her daily life. Kimball eventually took the boy back to his mother's apartment and again asked her to take him to the hospital, but she refused. Finally, on the 30th of May 2020, Kimball picked up his grandson from the apartment and drove him to the Children's National Medical Center. When the child got to the hospital, staff reported that he was screaming and crying in pain. Doctors found that his wounds were so deeply infected, pus was dripping out of them, and the smell was so foul that an infectious disease team was brought in to assess them. They said that his scars were so thick and shrunken in some areas that it limited his joint mobility. Hospital staff alerted Montgomery County Police about the suspected abuse, and an investigation began. When police interviewed Kimberly, she claimed that she was frying chicken and left it unattended when the little boy came over and spilled the hot grease on himself. She even went so far as to draw a picture for the police to show how small the kitchen is and how this could be plausible. Police didn't buy the story, and Kimberly, her wife and father were all charged. Since the 30th of May 2020, the boy has undergone approximately 20 surgeries for skin grafts and will likely remain scarred for the rest of his life. At some point, the doctors were operating on him twice a week, and he had to undergo physical therapy and psychiatric treatment. In addition to burning a child, detectives discovered that Kimberly had been investigated by Child Welfare Services in 2019 for physical abuse, and they learnt that there are other instances where Kimberly would purposely humiliate the victim in front of other children and at school. The victim suffered from Hirschsprung's disease, a condition that caused him to have trouble controlling his bowel movements. At times, when the boy accidentally soiled himself, Kimberly and her wife would discipline him by dressing him in his sister's clothes and calling him girls' names. When the boy had an accident before school, the women would not allow him to shower and make him to go to school in soiled clothes. Investigators said they would also send the victim to school in diapers that were also too tight on him. Kimberly would also discipline the victim by giving him unnecessary enemas. On one occasion, the victim tried to remove the enema himself and received a spanking. As a punishment, Kimberly would also cut patches out of his hair and then make fun of him in front of other children. The victim and his siblings also reported that they were always hungry. At the hospital, medical staff noted malnutrition as one of the victim's conditions. Kimball testified against his daughter at trial. He pleaded guilty to reckless endangerment and received probation. Therese pleaded guilty to neglect of a minor. She was sentenced to 5 years in prison, suspended all but 6 months to serve, and 5 years of supervised probation upon release. State's Attorney John McCarthy said, "This was one of the worst cases we have seen when it comes to child abuse cases. The level of harm caused by someone in the ultimate position of trust, a child's mother, is unfathomable. Our hearts are with the young victim and those now entrusted with his care," he said.